Welcome to the virtual lunch. Today is Friday, December 11th, and this is virtual lunch number 194. Our guest today is Jeff Ward, the director of the Duke Center on Law and Tech, and also the Associate Dean for Technology and Innovation at Duke University School of Law.
I'm the director of the Duke Center on Law and Technology, teach AI, law and ethics classes, both at the Duke Law School and the Pratt School of Engineering. I'm one of those people who hasn't practiced much. I went right through law school and started teaching, and then I left and I practiced at actually Latham and Watkins in Chicago for a little while and did a fellowship with Chicago Lawyers Committee for Civil Rights under law, the Community Economic Development Law Project, and then came back and have been teaching. But the way I got into technology is by being the farthest thing from a technologist. My undergraduate degree is in great books, philosophy, politics, and economics. My master's degree is in English literature. My law degrees have nothing to do with technology either. But what was happening, I was directing a clinic at the law school, and all of our clients were coming in. No matter what industry they were working toward, they were trying to disrupt or change or do something with technology. And I had this epiphany. I don't understand what the hell you're talking about. And I can't be a good lawyer to you because you're doing things that I'm not able to advise fully on. Secondly, I'm supposed to be teaching other students to be good lawyers. I certainly can't be a good teacher to them either. And then that made me start to think, one, why isn't law doing more of this? Why aren't we adopting technology at the same pace with the same relish that other industries are? Why isn't the law school doing more to prepare our students for the next generation of lawyering rather than the last generation of lawyering? And so I went to the dean at the time and made one of those really dumb moves that said, I don't think I should be doing my job. I don't think I'm the right person. And I also think the law school is in a bad place. And I said, we need to do more with technology. And he said, well, you go do that. We'll hire somebody else to teach the clinic and you go do that. And I had no background or no capacity to learn about technology, but just dove in headfirst. And it honestly has been the happiest part of my life of law and teaching, et cetera, thinking about the role that technology can play in making law a better field, making it a better industry, making it a better practice moving forward. And I've just been really happy. And I think I've made up for some of my really deep ignorance with some of my almost equally deep enthusiasm for what technology can offer to law. So here we are, and the Duke Center on Law and Technology, it's a collection of programs and resources that aim to help ensure that technology empowers and ennobles people. We spend a lot of our time working on access to justice issues and hoping that technology can expand access to legal services and resources. And we, from a very early stage, ran the Duke Law Tech Lab, which was an early law tech dedicated Preaccelerated program because we intentionally took early stage legal technology companies and tried to use some of our resource, some of our savvy, some of our network to help jumpstart folks in this area to be bringing innovation to law. We've worked really closely with a lot of teams. We've completed 4 cohorts of the Duke Law Tech Lab. I demonstrate to my students that it's attitudinal more than aptitudinal. We're all capable of learning new things. Lawyers, judges, et cetera. That's what we do. We're always learning new stuff. If we're good at anything, it's at learning new stuff. So we can do it in the technology room. I think when you say legal technology to people, the first response that a lot of people say is, oh, job displacement. Their concern is, oh my gosh, AI is coming to take my job or put me into a smaller market or whatever it might be. Technology is helping lawyers tremendously, and especially those at small law firms where their primary issue might be finding clients. How do I build a portal, a pipeline? Technology can really help. So attitude and enthusiasm, to go back to that original word, can go a long way. I stand in class and they pay me a wage to say that I am a teacher in a class where I honestly, and forgive my, I know jack shit sometimes about what we're getting to. A lot of it is that I'm asking questions rather than having answers. Right now, that's where law tech is. We're asking a lot of questions about what it means for the law moving forward. And I think we have to be willing to just do that. Lawyers are really good at asking questions. We can do that. We're trained to do that in meaningful ways. Then what happens is if you're enthusiastic, then you'll commit to also trying to find answers and listen well and find good answers and listen to people who have experience in the field. If we're willing to do that, I think we can make a lot of progress. I find that 22 to 26-year-old law students, when they find the possibilities that technology has to make their practices better, to answer tough, thorny questions and ethical questions that arise because of technology, et cetera, my job is really easy. It's an infectious enthusiasm. They're entering an era of lawyering that they think of as the golden age because they get to tackle these issues and have all these resources. To be somebody who's of a different generation, who's done practice in a way that is a different paradigm and trying to get them to shift, that is a lot tougher job. And there's 2 things, the only 2 things that if students learn from me, I really want them to know. One of them is that you don't have to be a technologist to get involved. The second thing is that there's no technology that exists on its own. We have no such thing as technologies. We have socio-technical systems. Every technology is placed in a social context. It interacts with human beings, has real outcomes, etc. Somebody says, I don't plan to be a technologist. I say a socio-technical systems needs socio people just as much, if not more, than it needs technologists. You can have a really significant role in a socio-technical system without ever converting to be a technologist. So there are a range of issues that arise with access to justice, biases for gender, race, etc. in training a lot of these systems, socioeconomic mobility and access to tools, whether a tool disproportionately benefits incumbents as opposed to insurgents and quashes innovation. There are all these questions that we can ask by being a sociotech, heavy on the socio part of that. We're already well placed to actually play a significant role in these questions and these discussions, even without becoming a technologist. Should all those law students learn how to program Python? Absolutely no. What we should be asking them is, can you identify the socio-technical or the socio-legal significances of technology and be a participant in that discussion? You can be a better participant the more you can talk with technologists, but that doesn't mean you have to become a technologist yourself. There's an opportunity for young associates to really thrive and move up faster when they have a tech savvy. The older generation, or the ones who practice in a certain way, actually have to look to some of the young attorneys sometimes to make decisions about, recognize the possible uses of, be a little bit critical of technological opportunities. But I think the real challenge that exists still is that there's not a natural place in a law firm or in many company and firm environments for a true workflow technology allocation or review. It just hasn't been built into the legal workflows yet, where that question is asked as an open question: where can technology play a role, benefit us, etc. What we're going to see over the next, hopefully 5 to 10 years are significant revisions of workflows that have a broader set of players that touch on any particular change, implementation, work project, project management, etc. And that the technology assessment is going to be a key part of that. I'll comment two things that I think are going to cause significant pressure and accelerate the challenge to the billable hour, because I care very much about access to justice and look a lot at the regulation of lawyers. Revisions to unauthorized practice and Rule 5.4 that are happening around the country are going to help us see models of service delivery that are increasingly tech facilitated, project oriented, and lead toward more project-based billing. The other is, particularly as UPL gets reconsidered, the big four that on an international scale are increasingly delivering legal or legal adjacent services that are really challenging some of the big players on an international scale, are going to demand that our very insular and traditional billable model one-to-one service methodology is even just a price level not competitive. I think there's just going to be increasing pressure on that. Our Preaccelerated program is only for those that are trying to, in some way, shape, or form, expand access to legal services. We talk a lot and we run design thinking sessions on what we call markets for the massive middle. Meaning, on the one end, there's those who can afford full freight legal services. That's a small group. On the other end, there are those who, because their particular legal issue and circumstances fit, are eligible for legal aid, and there may be room for them. And in between there, there's a massive middle that has limited access to the resources of the law. So we think that a lot of that is one of the most embarrassing market failures in the history of all markets, because it's not only shows a lack of creativity, it shows a tolerance for an embarrassing level of injustice, to be honest, because these are real problems that are trying to be solved by people that affect their lives, their livelihoods, their families, etc. We're seeing a lot of students who are interested in alternative legal careers and being more entrepreneurial. But if this is our whole set of students, the number of students who encounter significant law tech at the law school is a subset. Out of that subset, it's a huge number. They're like, holy cow, we could do law differently. This is awesome. I'm willing to forgo a firm. I'll take a lower annual salary in order to take equity in this firm. Like, this is promising. I feel creative. I feel like I'm making a difference, blah, blah, blah. But out of the whole group, it doesn't seem like a lot. Our current project at the law school is to expose all students to the future of law. If I had one final word, it would be this: that I think we have two major problems, and I hope that they're always kept in the same order. So problem number two is that we have an antiquated method of legal service delivery that is not keeping pace with technology and the demands of our clients. The distance between 2 and 1 is grand, and if we had to entirely ignore problem 2, I'd rather we did in order to solve number 1, is that legal problems are real problems for a lot of people. We have extra capacity with technology to help serve a broader range of people, including traditionally marginalized populations. And if we are going to really make a change in the law, it's that it's going to be more equitable, fair, accessible for all moving forward to help solve their problems. And I think if we had anything that we wanted to spend our efforts on, it would be making sure that technology serves those who have been underserved for a really long time. That's, to me, the two issues confronting us.
Jeff Ward, everybody.